Hello, this is Paweł from DevOps Codes Academy, and today we're gonna learn a little bit more about EC2 service. We're gonna go through instances types. We're gonna provision one of the instances, and I will show you a little bit more of possibility of configuration while provisioning a new EC2 instance. Let's jump into the console.
Okay, so we are back in the web console in EC2 service. What we're gonna do, we're gonna see instances types. That's the first thing what we're gonna take a look today. So as you can see, maybe from previous lessons, we were choosing the free tier eligible instance type when we were launching. Amazon is giving us some possibility to explore the cloud for free for 1 year. And when we go to the instance types, we can see that we have different families. The letter that is starting, it's defining the family. Then we have the number, which is the generation. We have generation first, second, third. For T is the latest one. And we have, of course, the size of it. And as you can see, when we go to bigger size, we will have more resources. For example, T2 Nano has one vCPU and only half of GB of memory. If we go to medium size, we will have 2 and 4. If we check the tick here to see the details, we can learn a little bit more about the specification of this instance type. We will not go through all of them as we want to learn basics here, but you can see that, for example, we have this vCPUs, they are on one core, there's the architecture, how many threads per core, how many memory. We have some networking details as well, and availability zones, storage, accelerators, not in the basic one, and pricing for Linux and for Windows on demand. And we will talk about what is on demand soon. So for example, yes, when we learn, we most likely use T, which is burstable mode. So it's quite cheap. It's recommended for any new workloads for testing. So Amazon will give us some CPU credits that we can use. And if we utilize the instance too much, let's say for 80, 90% for a long time, then our credits might go out of the stock and our instance will have reduced performance. But for example, we have also family C, which is for the general purpose, for the compute. We have also families like M, R, D, F, G, which are for the graphic accelerator. If we go here, probably we'll have accelerators from NVIDIA in this type. I would recommend you to go through the instances types on Amazon documentation, so you will have much more understanding about that. Instances types AWS. And as you can see, we will have probably in Amazon documentations. So you can see we have general purpose, compute optimize, memory optimize, accelerate computing, storage optimize, instance features, measuring instance performance. So we can have much more details. I will not talk about all of it right here. I really encourage you, and don't be afraid. I know when you're starting, it might look scary, but within a time, for sure, you will get used to it. And it's not about to remember all of it, right? It's more about understanding if our application needs more compute, so we will go for the C generation. If our application is not using too much CPU, but is heavy using memory, so we will go for any R, for example, right? And as you can see, we can keep only 2 CPU, but 16 GB of memory. Okay, let's go back to console and let's try to install some operating system on EC2. In other words, let's launch an instance. This is the new experience. As I noticed, they introduced it recently. So let's keep it as it is, as probably they will switch from the old experience to the new ones. And don't worry if you go through different of tutorials, or even you're watching this video after a long time. AWS is constantly changing, so you can have a little bit different view, but most likely features will be the same. So when we put a name for our instance, basically what is done behind, we will add a tag with the key name and the value of here. And we can also add additional tags. So you can see this view changed. We can add, for example, environment test, right? So we can tag our resources. We can later on browse them, and let's see, for example, we want to have it grouped, but we don't do it manually. Later on, we will go for some infrastructure as a code tool like Terraform, and you will see how it's easy to add these tags. But for now, let's leave with 2 tags. Okay, the next thing is AMI, Amazon Machine Image. Basically, it's an operating system that we want to install on our virtual machine. So some of them you might recognize, like Linux, Ubuntu, like Windows Server, Red Hat. There's a lot of public, official, and free AMIs. Also, there's a marketplace with some pre-installed applications. For example, some company, they want to provide you out of the box, and then they might charge you from additional usage of it. Amazon has also its own release of Linux. Now the latest one is Amazon Linux 2, and we're gonna use it. And as you can see, it's free tier eligible. But there's a lot of different, also for Amazon, different version of it with pre-installed software. The architecture, we're gonna leave it as default x86. ARM you might recognize from the small machines like Raspberry Pis, or with MacBook M1. That's also an architecture of ARM. The classic one, which is using like the CPUs from the Intel family, right? Intel i5, 7, 8, 9, other generations, they're using this architecture. And we're not gonna talk about hardware here too much. Okay, so we have an instance type. We will use the free tier eligible T2 micro, and you can see here basic informations. How many virtual CPUs, how many memory, and how much it will cost on demand per hour. I see that they also give some way to compare. Yeah, for example, if you want to see large, we can filter between T3 large and, for example, C3 or C5, C6 large. So we can filter and see what is the difference, and also what is the pricing, right? Because sometimes you want to get some amount of the CPU and memory, but we want to check which one will be cheaper. Key per login. This is something that we're gonna learn also about how to connect to the machine from your local computer. So for that, we need a key pair. It's an SSH key for Linux. So as you can see, we don't have any key. We can proceed without, and this is what we were doing in the previous lesson, because Amazon give us opportunity to connect via their software from the browser. But we can create a new keeper here, and let's say Academy. And we can leave the defaults here for the encryption and for the type. And at the same time, you will download the key. So please download it and keep it. We're gonna use it in next lesson when we will try to connect to our instance. For the network settings, by default, Amazon creates for us a VPC, a virtual private cloud, in each of the regions. So this helps us to learn and use the cloud out of the box when you create a new account. But of course, we can edit it. We can create our own virtual private cloud, our own network. And we will learn a little bit more about networking in a different lesson. We will create our own. So for now, let's just understand that there's a VPC, there's a virtual private cloud, which is private. We can choose the subnet, and we can choose a subnet from different availability zone, which is a different physical data center in one region. Amazon gives us opportunity to design and create our cloud resources in different availability zones for high availability. But for now, we're gonna use no preference, and we can auto assign public IP. So this is what will define if our EC2 instance will be public or private, right? So if we want to reach out to it from the public internet, like from your computer, from your home, and all other people. And this is what we are doing in the first lesson when we left this option as a default, and we installed Nginx, so we were able to connect to the instance. Security groups. As it's written here, it's a firewall, so it allows us to control the traffic that it will come to the virtual machine. We can create a new one from the wizard. We can select existing one, and as you can see, I was creating some of the wizards already. I mean, some of the security groups, and I left the name as a default. But if we decide to create a new one, of course, we can change the name, we can change the description, and we can add some rules. So by default, Amazon gives us opportunity to open SSH port. SSH port, this is the port number 22, and it allows us to connect to the machine. And we can, of course, choose from where we want to connect. If I click my IP, it will get my public IP from where I am. We can also leave it as a custom. And it's worth to mention 0.0.0.0/0, this is the wide internet. So if we put like that, we will allow from all around the world. And we can, of course, make it more specific. We can define some specific IPs, but for now, we can leave it all internet, means anywhere. Also, we can add a different ports. We can add, let's say, if you want to host a website, so we can open port 80. We can add port 443 for HTTPS, which is for the secure browsing. If you ever heard about that, so each of the website now is using secured connection using certificates. So that's the difference between the HTTP and HTTPS. HTTPS is an encrypted traffic. Then we can configure a storage. So there are different families of storage, and we will not go through all of them. You can only know that the GP is a general purpose, and there are also 2 generations of it. IO is more for more extensive usage of storage. And there are also some old versions of the HDD. If you remember the old drives that they have magnetic and the place that was spinning. So this is, of course, HDD. And we can use the new type SSD, which has, of course, better performance. And we can say how much we want to add to our instance. This is for the root volume where the system will be installed. And of course, remember that Amazon will charge us. So if you put a very big number here, then you will pay monthly for the storage because you reserve some part of the storage from the data center. You can put 10 GB for the beginning is okay. And of course, we can add a second volume, which we can keep as a, let's say, data volume. And we can also define some of the details here. The device name that will be visible on the machine. If we want to take a snapshot or we want to restore it from a, no, sorry, this one is to restore from the snapshot. So if we have already a snapshot, a copy of some drive of volume, we can add it here. Size, we already discussed, volume type, IOPS. This is something that we're gonna learn a little bit later, but you can also always click on info and read a little bit about that, but we will discuss it in another lesson. We can choose if you want to delete it on termination or not, because we might want to have it persisted and then reuse it for a different EC2 machine. And for the encryption, we can also choose if you want to have this data encrypted. All right, but we will not use it right now. We will go only with a default volume. And there's a bunch of another options. So we can go for the request spot instances. This is the difference from the on demand. So on demand, when we choose it, Amazon will always, when they will find a resource in their data center that is available for us, we can run it and it will run. But there's an option also for request spot. So we can set our maximum price, which will be cheaper than on demand. And we can also set some more settings here for the expiration. But the idea behind that is that if we have some workloads that can be interrupted, but we are running it very often, and we want to have it cheaper than on demand, so we can go for that and request spot instances, but we have to be aware that at any time, if the demand is getting bigger in that region and availability zone, Amazon might terminate our instance without noticing. Yeah? So this is the risk of it. IAM instance profile, we will learn a little bit more about that, about the roles, but to be short, if we want our instance to interact with other Amazon resources and services, like there's an S3 bucket, which is the storage object service where we can upload some files. So we can create a new IAM profile and attach it to our instance. So our instance will be able to connect to this S3 bucket, and we will go through an example later on. You could go and read some of these informations on your own. They are a little bit more advanced, so I don't want to go through all of it right now. This is something that when you're learning for the AWS certification, it's covered there. But for now, one more thing that I would like to tell you, this is user data. This is something that we can utilize when you have some automation. And let's say on the first lesson, when we created an EC2 instance, we typed some commands to install Nginx service to run the web server. So we can add a bash script here that will be executed by Amazon when the instance will be started. So if we want to predefine some configuration, some things that we want to customize our instance, so we can write a script and we can put it here to user data. So thanks to this, we will be able to have it automated. And if we create a launch template and put the script there, so we can also use it automatically. Okay, so I think we went through most of the basic stuff. Let's try to install. Okay, custom. We left it custom here, so we can change it to anywhere. Amazon will always highlight what's wrong when you try to launch an instance. That's very helpful when you're doing from the console. But in the future, we're gonna also learn how to do it via code. So it takes a little bit more time to write the code, but then within one command, we are able to create or delete our resources. And we can see that instance. The request was successful. Now we are in pending state and we are waiting for the instance to be launched. All right, so I will wait a little bit until it will be running. After that, it's already changed. But of course, we don't want to keep it. We always want to delete our resources after we use them. Now you can see it's shutting down. Also, I can go to security groups and clear the security groups that I'm not using anymore. Thanks to this, we keep our account quite clean. All right, I'm not sure if it will allow me to delete it. Sometimes it can see that it's still attached to instance, but now it's okay. All right, thank you very much. That was Pavel from DevOps Codes Academy. I hope you'll get some more sight on EC2 instances. As you can see, there's much more possibilities and configuration here. I always encourage you to go and take a look. But of course, we will cover it in another lessons. Thank you and see you in the next lesson.